People probably know me best from Alaska Last Frontier.
Jane Kilcher interested people for years with her skills in the outdoors and how to stay alive. But there were parts of Jane that fans will never see had experience. Behind the scenes, there was a lot of she married into a big family. She was quiet for a long time and kept going. It's not always easy. But now she broke her silence and named the ones she hated the most. While some seem too personal, while others are shocking. But it's beyond what you can imagine. Do not stop being on the lookout for the people she not liked. After Jane got married to Lee in Kilcher, she stopped fishing for money. To make a house. But it wasn't simple. To be a part of the big Kilcher family. There was a truth that the camera never caught. Grabbed. It was even worse when it did. Hidden behind fake smiles. Not all someone in the family got along better with Jane. She stuck to old family customs. And battles that are kept secret. Eve Kilcher was the first person who made life. Jane could not stand it. They had a well with each other because they seemed to be different from each other. Eve was the steady and hard-working wife. The camera often showed how much she loved taking care of animals and grounds. Even so, she played the part of a calm cast member. The view was different when getting along with Jane, who was tough and speaking out. Their differences made it possible for low-level stress that became glaring. Not the same. Eve stayed away from I made eye contact and kept the chat short. Whenever Jane was there, she thought Jane's opinionated behavior was rude. And didn't get close. This being alone and cold conversations made Jane angry. People knew Otto Kilcher as the man of the house. He knew how to do things his way. Jane never gave up. From a challenge before Jane, they didn't have to listen to anyone. No one should question his decisions. Jane knew how to say what she thought and didn't hold back when Otto made his choices about the homestead didn't seem right. There the first fight began as an argument. On fixes and putting supplies away. At other times, Jane questioned his did things, and Otto pushed back. He liked being criticized, so he always had ended their friendship with Jane. He never thought of her as family. While Jane was ready for change, and Otto was all about are in charge, so they never agreed. Shane Kilcher, the quiet family member, was to stay out of trouble and chaos. How did he do that? Get on Jane's list of people she hates? I have a difficult relationship with her wife Jane, who was his husband. Family customs were always being questioned. Jane always stood by her husband. Other members of the family, which didn't sit I agree with Shane. Even though they're awkward, it was a quiet friendship between longtime fans could tell there was stress. Married to Otto, Bonnie made the fight worse. There was more to Bonnie is happy. Even though Bonnie hated things and would do anything to keep Jane was sure about the Kilcher name. Her thoughts and ready to speak out problems and negative ideas. The two women rarely talked to each other, and Jane felt she could take time off to work on projects with Bonnie. No matter how bad their relationship was, it doesn't even measure to the following name on Jane's list. Chances Kilcher, the most important member of the family, also had a rough past with Jane. It was known that he held for old customs and strict rules about what a real kilt should look like. Jane will never live up to his standards. He often ignored what she had to say and called her skills and ideas into question. How does this affect Jane? Was that her reason for being on Emily's show? I love being on the dredge with you. Getting gold. I have gold for sure. Fever. Jane began a new show and many thought about whether it was out of spite for the Kilcher people she didn't like. It was a big fans were shocked when they saw her on the television show bearing sea gold with her friend and the main cast. Emily Riddle is a member. 22 looked like they raised eyebrows as many she thought she was going to start a show. When asked what her favorite show was, she said it was fun to be on Emily's show. When she showed up on season 11, she was the author of Alaska, the last frontier. Busy all winter with her looks on gold in the Bering Sea. It's simple to enjoy yourself here if you don't worry, because these people are really great. She had to clear the air and talk about her fans who wanted to know more. When I feel good, my friend first showed up on my dredge and a lot of people asked, why is Bering Sea Gold with Jane Kilcher? I have known Kilchers my whole life. I became old, it was only a few miles from the farm. Our families have a fairly long history. We have history together. There was no way around it. That I and Jane Kilcher would become friends. When I found out when I had my daughter Evie in 2001, I needed someone I knew I could count on to help me run the fear, who wasn't scared to stand in front of people? Of cameras for reality TV. Jane was the right fit. Fans quickly got it that Jane wasn't going to back out of her despite her fight with her family's TV show with some group members. Don't make a fuss. Put that aside. What does Jane Kilcher do? What made her well known? What does that your family has a hard time with? Let's break this story down. We're both on a TV show, so we had to start talking at some point. The background. It was the TV star Christina Jane Furman was born on September 14, 1974. Her dad and mom, Bob and Sarah Furman, lived in northern Alaska. They took care of her and her two brothers, Bobby Hugh and Jessica. They showed them how to become more aware of and enjoy nature. Even though Bob was from Texas, in this way, fishing became an important part of Jane's life. Their family moved. She was 12 years old when she married Homer. There she went to middle school and high school. At Homer, she met the Kilcher family who lived nearby. The American ATV star is also an actor and a nurse. When she was on the Discovery Channel brought her to the public eye. Over the years, she's worn a lot of hearts. Thanks for being on Alaska Last along the borderlands with her husband as Lee Kilcher. Jane's part in the show is unique as she tells him she loves him going fishing. The camera keeps an eye on her as they hunt, fish, and fight to stay alive. The weather being cold. More was seen. Kilts of Jane and other women show off their daily lives, and Alaska has some problems. If you've seen Jane swimming on the show. The woman is at ease. Before the show, she worked as and learned from being a fisherwoman years on the Alaskan seas. Though she became she brought her professional fishermen more like her roots. Before I went to the farm, industrial fish caught in the Aleutian Island Sound and Prince William Sound family life. Jane and I met before the show. Lee had a simple life in Alaska. She worked as a nurse in a faraway place. Jackie and Otts had a lot in common. Normal. They grew up in Alaska's Homer. The junior Otts is Otsley Kilcher. Unlike some, he likes living off the land. He likes to explore, just like Jane. He left home when he was 20 years old and toured the country. But Lee soon knew that nowhere else could compare to Yukon. He only hunts to make a living. Give meat to his family. There's a reason for this. He's had a lot of having trouble with his food store in last few years and has chosen to leave the land. All he does is hunt and fish. That's why he and Jane were a great match. Pair. Lee was also interested in, so it was simple to get along. With Jane. She had lived her whole life, learned how to fish and was a pro at it. Have at it. She had a beautiful burbot. Finding skills and was very good at catching fish and shellfish in nets. Jane changed. A member of the Alaska, the Last Frontier cast Frontier back in 2011. The task wasn't hard. For Jane to get people's attention when she joined the group of the Tales of the Long Kilcher family's way of life. Her fans admired her love for Alaska and how fast gotten used to the harsh surroundings. Before she got married to Dran Casuni and they had a girl named Piper. Lee has a boy named Etienne. People liked how Lee, Jane and John promised to keep their family members nearby. Their work to protect their kids gave the story of the show. A lot of people often wonder how Jane saw the show begin. Was she there? The show because of the guy she likes, or was it all about the cash? Do not stop, stay tuned to find out. The Last Wild Place. In December, The Last Frontier view of their huge house in Yukon. They showed off old farming tools and expensive items that belonged to the Kilcher family. This is one of them. The first house was turned into a museum. The station started making the TV series and played Otto and other people in the clan who are related. The show had a number of great seasons and good what fans think. They were interested by how the Kilchers made it through the wild places. When you think of one of the many TV shows that took place in Alaska. The state is now proud of itself on holding the most important how many TV shows each person watches more than any other state. Even though Alaska has a little more than 735,000 people moving in, there's a surge of television shows that were about the state. People are drawn to the huge open space. Draws attention to and emphasizes its natural history. Their farm was around 218 miles away from Anchorage. The business was set up in 1964. Homer is a small city, but it includes a Safeway grocery store. There are 2 public libraries, schools, and there are some radio stations and newspapers. About 5,000 people live there, and gives the Kilchers what they need to stay alive. The show gave Jane being seen. She became well known in the homes of people all over the world. Her skill at fishing and creativity have been very important to the family's safety and how well the show did. The show went on. People on the edge of their seats, excited to find out what's really going on seasons. The show became well known and stayed popular for a long time. There's not many people watched the show and hate it. They said it showed them what it's like to have a hard life in some of the world's most remote places, Yukon. The Last Frontier kept people interested. More than 100 shows and a number of events from behind the scenes during its run on watching TV. Fans became interested in the behind-the-scenes stories from over seasons. They show the group face-to-face events and risks that could kill you, but in fact, the family is surrounded by a production company and medical help ready in case it's needed. They were never in danger, but they got fans. I think they were. A few critics said most reality TV shows are made up, and spins a bunch of unimportant events into accidents that could kill them. If they were really in danger, they had help. Ready to go to the hospital right away, treated in a way that saved their lives. Thoughts it looked like the Kilcher were the only ones in the plains, which were surrounded by a film team. Even though the show showed the family as far away from people as possible, that wasn't the real story. What the Kilchers' 600 acres of land were big, and they were away from city life, but only 12 miles from people and things. A lot of fans I had no idea that fact if the TV stars they chose to give up their rough life, it would only take a short trip to the next city over. Some people called the show is fake and planned. Even so, the directors don't give them lines, they always set up events for the cast people to play out. They told me Alaska, The Last Frontier is the same as some other TV shows. Even though critics people who saw the show said it was clever. Its numbers keep going down, making it less appealing. Rise as it makes news on finding out about one of the best real Alaskan series. Are you one of many fans who are curious about who the other people in Kilcher? We're going to share that kind of news. Watch out for now. The members of the Atiluno clan Kilcher is the head of the Kilcher family. He is now the person to go to for anything you need. He was born on September 2, 1947 as their oldest son. Ruth Weber and Yul Kiter did it. To build a house in Alaska, and it turned out to be what they did best for ATS and his cousins. He has brothers named Otto, places like Ortia Heap, F.A. Graham, Kilcher Burton, Catkin Kilcher, and Stella Vera Kilcher, Kilcher with Moss, and Sunrise Schauberg. When they were kids, they loved the beauty Alaska and grew up to have a ways to connect with the place. Their dad was a learned person who knew a lot. He wrote and spoke 12 languages. Alaska's state constitution as a part of the state house. Their mom loved it, was her dream to sing opera. In the end, she was one of the first Alaskan women writers who are writing a piece about Alaskan life. Yule in 1940 and built a house there. With the land that was given to him. The land went from 160 acres to more than 600 acres. While as a senator, he went on business trips, his wife took care of the kids and home. At's dad had big plans for his family. He meant to build them a house they could treasure for hundreds of years. In the 9s, he set up a family trust fund to remember to save the lands for future generations of Kilchers. He didn't want the land to be split between his children when he dies passed on. He meant for it to last. That was how much Yule loved Alaska. And his each brother has the same rights to the farm and must meet their father's wants. Become a star on Discovery. No one else in Otto's family became a Otto can be reached at the helper, because he's always been great able to fix things. When he was young, he always kept up with his work and never skipped his tasks, even if they had to do with farm work that is hard. The 73-year-old is married to Charlotte, an animal photographer-botanist. They met at work for her to help clean up the oil spill from Exxon in Valdez. The person from California she was a vegetarian before she moved to Alaska and fell in love with Otto. They've been together for over 20 years. Otto he liked to call her hippie chick. They have August and Tori as kids. She also learned how to live with the children of Otto's ex-wife. She loves Levi and Evan very much. Jane really likes this person. They get closer while working in the garden and have a good friendship. He has taught his sons how to get by in Alaska. He passed down his skills to them. His oldest son, Elvin Kilcher, is good with tools. Losing hair. He was the one who noticed most of what Otto could do. His fans call him a jack of all things because he can do everything. He likes to hunt, gather, and farmer. He helped in one episode his dad built a hot tub. He's married to Eve Kilcher, who looks a lot like Charlotte. She likes to garden and helps the family by giving them information on getting vegetables to grow and pick in that they can grow in Alaska's short season. She is enough to grow and harvest in 4 months vegetable to last her family all year, and Eve always comes through with her skills. She was called Green because of it. Thumb, because she always knows when to farming. She and Elvin built a house in Yukon. They had 2 lovely children. And enjoy Alaska's peaceful but dangerous weather. The next member of the clan they are Shane Kilcher, Lenidra Carroll, and the son of Kilcher. He had a terrible fall as he worked on his house, which brought about problems. He broke his went back and wasn't at a major part of the set. He never stops, then. Letting people know how lucky he is to be alive. He has 3 brothers, some of whom have been on the show. Shane is married to his high school sweetheart, Kelly Kilcher, his lover. She was born there. Of Alaska's Anchorage and has American roots. They've been together for more than 30 years. Years after getting married in 1992. There are 4 kids, 3 boys and a daughter. Shane is interested in the Kelly works at her family's normal jobs. At Homer's South Peninsula Hospital, Alaska, after she finished her nursing school course in California at Merritt College. Levi is another one of Otto's sons who is also a part of the set. He is lovingly called the smart person in the family. He got a PhD in physical oceanography and is with the Wind Technology North. The center is in Boulder, Colorado. Levi is an expert in sea hydrodynamics and development that is combined. He gets facts. and work on study projects to make tools for ideas of hydro turbines. A lot of fans. I love the show and its well-known cast. Jewel Kilcher. She lives in Homer and has grown used to the Alaskan way of life. In her teens, she was already likes fun things and music. Jewel and her dad played music together a lot. When she was little, they went on the singing their songs in the state of Alaska and yodeling at the same time. The well-known cast is now a singer, producer, and she writes, acts, and writes poems. She's been 4 times up for Grammy Awards and has sold 30 million copies. Records. But even though Jewel loves her roots, Alaska's not where she lives. Case is her son. Often shows up on the show during his visit with her Alaskan family. Like any real Kilcher, he likes Alaska. With Levi, and they get along well. Jewel has another reason to keep her a long way from her home. She had a big fight with her mom, Lenidra Carroll, and said she stole millions of dollars from money from her. She told everyone in her autobiography and shocked fans with the strong charges against her mom. Jewel has worked with her mom and my brother Shane on a charity group. They came up with higher grounds for humanity, but Jewel isn't engaged anymore because of how they are different. Jane isn't the only one of the family who speaks out. A few people also thought Jewel was a rebel. She told over the years she learned some upsetting things about her father. She wrote about what she did when she was young. Girl Living on a Farm in her Kilcher The Architecture of All Abundance is a book that's 7 building blocks for wealth. Even so, they're getting along great now. Jewel. They were raised in a strict way by her dad. She told the stories of the bad things that happened to her as a girl who 15 years old and left home. What people went through in the Vietnam War. His parenting is a mess. The abuse she faced made her home a dangerous place to be. She grew up in a house with a bad father for 7 years before she leaving home. She moved out when she was 15 years old. From living on the farm her family owned to lacking a home. She lived in her car for a year and did any job she could find could get to stay alive. It was hard to do. To get a job because she didn't have an address to put on her job applications. That didn't bother her, though. She used her skills to get off the streets. Jewel sang in lounges and she went everywhere she could. Even though while I like the Kilcher farm, it's not a favorite spot of the singer since it makes me remember terrible thoughts. The lack of her mother in Wright's youth ended when he was years old. Singer is upset and lost. She wasn't able to get warm from her mother when she needed it the most. After many years, how the singer feels about her dad, things got better, but her relationship with her mother got worse. She only went back to her life after she got her music act Rise Up. From 2008 to 2010, Lenidra was her manager. Jewel broke their deal after it was a heartbreaking discovery. Her mom had stolen from her for years. Jewel not only cut her off but also broke ties with her. She hasn't had many shows up on the show. She makes them even more interesting. Family to watch. Even though she had a hard childhood and often likes how things turned out. It made she is independent. The singer today uses all of her time and energy to helping young women who are homeless. Afterwards, Nikos is a member of Kilcher. The 41-year-old loves to call himself an artist, a water lover, a fireman, and a woman. He also seems to be drawn to like his dad and sister Jewel. He likes music. In 2014, he got married to Kate Kilcher and a family in Homer. He's put out a record with the same name, Nikos Kilcher Pilgrim, and he often shows up on the series. It might look like the Kilcher family is stuck for the watchers, but they have had some sad times. There are more reasons why Jane can't give up or hold a grudge against some Kilt members. It cost her the closeness she had with Lee. Where did their relationship go? Let's find out. Love, marriage, and family. They got married in 2005. Not they loved being outside, but they both loved music too. Piper was born on June 4, 2003. Ishan Kilcher was born on May 12, 2001. Their kids have made few scenes on the show as they thought it would be best to take care of their safety during the people didn't like the family on the show. The couple has been through a lot. Moments and helped each other get through them problems. Being in the cold the desert puts the family at risk and sometimes getting hurt. In 2015, Lee had an accident while he was hiking. In Otter Cove, Visit 1. He hit the ground and fell. Some of his ribs and made holes in both of his lungs. He hurt his arm, shoulder, knee, and hip. Jane was there during this tough time and helped Lee finally get better, which is why fans were surprised when she said she was getting a divorce. They had been together for 17 years and we all went through the worst together. What happened? What's wrong? Why did they choose to end their being together? Lee and she had a strong bond. People who watched said it was a happy marriage. Thought. Jane and Ots were very angry. They paid a high price for their choice in 2014. A plane was used to look for a black bear, which is against the law.